Tonight, here on Keeping the Faith, we are going live to discuss and remember the player and the person that was Aldon Smith. For those that haven't heard the news, it was announced Saturday afternoon that former 49ers pass rusher Aldon Smith passed away at the age of 36. And I wanted to go live to share some of my favorite memories of number 99 and just talk about the joy that he brought to myself and other 49ers fans during his time in the red and gold. And I also want to take comments from the faithful. So if you are watching the stream tonight live, be sure to participate in our live chat section and share your memories of Aldon Smith. We're going to talk about, the highs, maybe some of the lows, and remember one of the greatest talents to ever put on a red and gold 49ers uniform here tonight on Keeping the Faith.
No, we still faithful. I'ma put it all on the table. We forever faithful. Yeah, we still faithful.
All right, 49er fans, you are tuned in to Keeping the Faith. I'm JD here on this somber Saturday evening, June 13th, 2026, as it was announced earlier in the afternoon today that former 49ers pass rusher Aldon Smith passed away at the age of 36 years old. He was announced dead on arrival at a local hospital in San Jose. The cause of death has not been officially announced, and I am not going to sit here and speculate about what happened because, quite frankly, I don't know what happened. And I've seen many people jumping to conclusions about how it happened and whatnot. And I'm not going to do that here tonight. That information will come out, and when it does, we will talk about it. But today, in the wake of the passing of one of the most exciting players that the 49ers have had this century, I wanted to kind of set up a platform, set up an environment where Niner fans can remember the good in Aldon Smith and just talk about some of the good times and the memories that they have of one of the most dynamic pass rushers in 49ers history. So we will talk about that tonight. I'll share some memories of my own, some clips. Just really, I wanted to go live tonight and just kind of talk it out because I know Niner fans are feeling it right now. Niner fans are not in a good spot with the news that Aldon Smith passed away, and so I wanted to, at least voice my own thoughts and feelings on this topic and give Niner fans, like I said, the chance to let their voices be heard as well. So if you're watching the show live here tonight and you are participating in our live chat section, as I encourage everyone to do, be sure to, leave your comments, some of your memories, your takeaways on the career of Aldon Smith and the life of Aldon Smith. Maybe you have some interactions with him in the Bay Area and whatnot. I'm here for all of it tonight. And I wanted to just kind of go live and talk about it with you guys. So I appreciate anyone who interacts tonight in our live chat section. It's what I like to call the show within the show. And we're going to talk about it. We're going to sit here and we're going to try and, just kind of get through a tough day together as 49ers fans. Let me see who is in the live chat this evening as we get the show started. My guy Rocco chimed in. He asking about the cause of death. As far as I know, there has been no official announcement of the cause of death. And again, I'm not going to speculate. Sin in the live chat. What's up, Sin? Nice to see you as always. Thank you for tuning in. Sin says, I'm having a hard time with this because Aldon was so talented. That's part of it. Obviously, Aldon Smith's entire career in the NFL is one of the biggest what-if cases in NFL history, but I'm kind of having a hard time with this news just based on the fact that he was 36 years old. In theory, he could still be playing in the National Football League. He wasn't aged out completely. He could still have been on an NFL roster right now if it wasn't for the off the field issues that plagued his adult life. He's 36 years old, man. Like I'm 38. I'm gonna be 39 in a couple of months. So he's barely younger than me. But given the fact that he is younger than me and he passed away, it's kind of crazy. It's a crazy announcement. Now, I did post a immediate reaction video to the news, and in that video, I did say that just kind of on its face, like, is it the most shocking news in the world? I mean, yeah, he's a former 49er. He was a great 49er. He was only 36 years old. There are some shocking elements to this, but if you have followed Aldon Smith's journey, since he's been with the 49ers and afterward, I said it in my immediate reaction video, like, I'm not necessarily surprised. And I don't mean that in any sort of disparaging way. I don't mean that in any sort of offensive way. It's just with his journey and his path and the ups and downs and the trials and tribulations that Aldon Smith has dealt with, I'm not surprised that things kind of ended this way. And it's sad to say. And again, I'm not trying to like offend anyone or say anything insensitive. I'm just thinking out loud here. And Aldon Smith, by all accounts, in recent years had cleaned himself up. He'd done several stints in jail, including a 6-month stint, a 1-year stint in recent years for various things. He's had multiple DUIs, but in recent years had kind of cleaned up his act and had gotten his life together and had gotten his head on straight. As a matter of fact, according to NBC Sports Bay Area's Bonte Hill, Aldon Smith met with the 49ers rookie class this past week. He was in the building, in the facility within the last week or so, along with other 49ers alumni, speaking directly to the 49ers rookie class, kind of, bringing them up on game about the highs and lows of the NFL and kind of what can happen if you're not careful. And by all accounts, Aldon Smith was in a good place from what you've seen, the reports that have come out since the news of his passing. But it's just, it's crazy. This news is depressing. It is sad. And I see a lot of you guys commenting in the live chat. I'm going to kind of just, put my thoughts out there, and then I will open it up and take some comments and questions from the live chat. But feel free to chat throughout the course of this live stream and give your thoughts and reactions to what I'm saying. And again, I didn't mention this at the top, but and I'm not trying to like sound insensitive or anything, but I always like to start off my shows by saying that if you are interested in behind the scenes content and you are a fan of my 49ers coverage here on the channel and you want access to behind the scenes stuff, giveaways, members only, exclusive videos and live streams and whatnot, click the join button down below. Become a channel member today. There are various perks associated with different membership tiers. Select the one that best interests you. And of course, if you would like to support the channel, becoming a member certainly helps that. And also, throughout the course of the show tonight, if you want to make sure that your question or comment gets read on air, the quickest way to do that is to drop a super chat. Super chats jump to the front of the line and help support the channel. So it's a win-win for everyone. And I appreciate everyone who is a channel member and all those who contribute to the channel via super chat. But I wanted to go live and kind of just talk through this. I mean, we got the news earlier this afternoon from Chase Sr. of Chat Sports. He was the one that broke the story, stating that Aldon Smith had passed away. Now, Bonte Hill of NBC Sports Bay Area had put out a tweet earlier in the afternoon stating that he didn't think the timeline was ready for the news that was going to hit at any moment. He didn't give any details further than that, but clearly that's what Bonte Hill was referring to. And when the news came down, it was a gut punch. Aldon Smith was one of my favorite 49ers in the past 20 years. I mean, he's on the short list. Like I would say in my top 3 to 5 favorite 49ers players in recent memory. Like he was something else. He was one of the most pure pass rushers I've ever seen in terms of just a raw skill perspective. He could do everything. He could rush you with power. He could get around the edge and bend around the edge and get to the quarterback. He could kill you with speed. He had swim moves. He could run the stunts and games with Justin Smith. He could do everything. And he was a phenomenon on the football field just as much as he was a phenomenon off the football field. He was a phenomenon wrapped in an enigma, and his story is one of the biggest what ifs, not only in 49er history, but in NFL history, because he was a guy who had Hall of Fame potential from day one and would have been a Hall of Famer if he was just able to keep his life on the right track. He had that kind of pure skill, pure talent. And he was drafted 7th overall in the 2011 NFL draft. For those that don't remember, that was Jim Harbaugh's very first draft with the 49ers after taking the job. Trent Baalke was the 49ers general manager at the time, and it was Jim Harbaugh's first draft as head coach. So in that situation, most people, including myself, would have expected the 49ers to select a quarterback in the first round because we know how it goes in the NFL. You get a new head coach, they want their quarterback. Now, yes, Jim Harbaugh went on to select his quarterback in that 2011 draft, but it didn't come with that 7th overall pick in the first round. It came on day 2 in the second round when they selected Colin Kaepernick. So at 7th overall, when they didn't select a quarterback, and I'll just say this, and I'll put it out there. For those of you that have been watching the channel a long time and are familiar with me, you might remember I wanted Jake Locker in that draft. I know, a big-time flameout, but at the time, he was, considered a top 10 quarterback in that draft. And considering that Jim Harbaugh was stepping in as the head coach and it was his first draft, I assumed he would have wanted to take his quarterback in the first round. And he did not select Jake Locker. He picked Aldon Smith. The pick was Aldon Smith, and I remember the reaction from Niner fans was not the happiest of reactions, including mine. Now, I actually had a draft reaction video. Those of you that watch my channel, a lot of you love my draft reaction videos, but I used to have an old channel, my very first channel here on YouTube, and I had a draft reaction video when the Niners selected Aldon Smith, and I was not happy. I wanted Jake Locker, and actually, over everyone, I wanted Patrick Peterson, who went a pick or two earlier to the Arizona Cardinals. So when the Cardinals selected Patrick Peterson, I was distraught. I was upset. I was not happy. That was the player that I wanted more than anyone in that 2011 draft. But once Peterson was off the board, I pivoted and said, okay, what is the most logical thing here? And that is that Jim Harbaugh would want his quarterback, right? And so I wanted Jake Locker if they would have selected a quarterback at that spot. But they did not do that. They selected Aldon Smith. I was not happy about it in the moment. A lot of Niner fans were not happy about it in the moment because most Niner fans didn't expect the 49ers to go with an edge rusher at 7. And not a lot of Niner fans, I think, did their homework at the time on many players outside of offensive guys and quarterbacks. With Jim Harbaugh coming in, I think the assumption was the 49ers would lean offense with that first-round pick and specifically a quarterback. And so it was kind of just out of left field when Aldon Smith got picked. It wasn't anything indicative of Aldon Smith himself. It was just, I think Niner fans were not prepared for who the pick would end up being. I think Niner fans really expected a quarterback, myself included. And so when Aldon Smith got selected, Niner fans just felt like it was out of left field. Their reaction was not a good one. However, that is why they play the games after all. That is why they play the games. And Aldon Smith, as a matter of fact, hold on. I just saw somebody in the chat here. Rucksack in the chat. He says, so sad to hear this, JD. Aldon was supremely talented and will be missed. I remember how it felt watching or hearing the Vincent Jackson and Doug Martin news, sending much love to all the faithful. That is my buddy Matt, who is a Tampa Bay Buccaneers fan. But I was just talking about my reaction to the Aldon Smith pick. I was actually with him, my buddy Matt there, during that 2011 NFL draft. We were watching the draft together, and he saw me sitting on his couch, across from him, livid when the 49ers selected Aldon Smith. I was not happy, and that was not planned. I did not expect my buddy Matt to be there, but shout out to my guy Matt. Thanks for chiming in, man. You were there when I reacted to the Aldon Smith pick. I wasn't happy about it, but like I mentioned, that's why the games are played. And Aldon Smith went on to have one of the most legendary rookie seasons any pass rusher in the NFL has ever had. He had 14 sacks, which was a 49ers rookie record, and he was half a sack shy of the all-time NFL rookie record of 14 and a half set by Javon Curse. So Aldon Smith came out with his hair on fire as a rookie, and what's even more remarkable is he did not record his first sack that rookie season until week 4. So he went 3 entire games without registering a sack and still ended that 2011 season with 14 sacks. And an incredible accomplishment from the 49ers first-round pick out of Mizzou. And that first game, when he notched his first NFL sacks, came against the Philadelphia Eagles in Philadelphia against Michael Vick, one of the most elusive quarterbacks in NFL history. And Aldon Smith came onto the scene and said, hey, I can do this. And he put Niner fans and the NFL on notice that day. And ever since that moment, he took off. He took off like an absolute rocket. And his national coming out party, I mean, Niner fans started to see it week in, week out from that point, his rookie year. But his national coming out party that 2011 season came in week 15 at home on Monday Night Football against the Pittsburgh Steelers, when he had 2.5 sacks of Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback Ben Roethlisberger. I remember, Aldon Smith was in his grill the entire night. If he wasn't sacking him, he was knocking him to the ground. It was a brutal game. If I don't recall, Big Ben, I think, got a little bloodied up in that game. But Aldon Smith was a one-man wrecking crew that night, so much so that he got blamed for the lights at Candlestick Park going out that night on Monday Night Football. A lot of Niner fans will remember that game specifically for that reason. That is the night that the lights went out at Candlestick Park. And like I mentioned, I was a season ticket holder during that time at Candlestick. I had season tickets for 5 years, from 2009 through 2013. The only game I missed, I missed 2 games, but the first game I had ever missed at Candlestick was that game. I was not there for that week 15 game in 2011 against the Steelers when the lights went out. I was severely under the weather. I was really, really not feeling great. And so I didn't go to the game that night, unfortunately. And I missed Aldon Smith's national coming out party, and I missed the lights going out at Candlestick. And it sucks, and I still kick myself to this day, but there was really nothing I could have done. I was not in good shape that night, but I remember that night and that game very well. Now, Aldon Smith, in his first 2 seasons, recorded 33.5 sacks and was the quickest player in NFL history to reach 30 career sacks, faster than any player in league history. And in 2012, his second NFL season, registered 19.5 sacks, a 49ers single-season franchise record that still stands to this day. And I thought, that year when he was racking up those sacks left and right, I thought he had a legitimate shot at breaking Michael Strahan's NFL sack record of 22.5 sacks, which we just saw Myles Garrett break this past season. I thought Aldon Smith was on track to do just that in 2012. He did end up falling a few sacks short, but it was still an incredible season by an incredible player. 19 and a half sacks for Aldon Smith, a 49ers single season franchise record. And that 2012 season was full of records for Aldon Smith. In a Week 11 Monday Night Football game against the Chicago Bears at Candlestick Park in 2012, Aldon Smith put on an absolute clinic and dominated that game with 5.5 sacks. Let me pull it up here. I can actually pull up some of the highlights here of that game, and I was there that night. That night also happened to be Colin Kaepernick's first career start, which made that night even more exciting for 49ers fans. But Aldon Smith stole the show that evening with 5.5 sacks, going up against former 49ers guard Chilo Rashall for a lot of the night. But you see here, Aldon Smith off the edge, just getting into the lap of the quarterback, taking down Jason Campbell. 5.5 sacks on the night, doing a little bit of everything, rushing with power here on that first sack against Gabe Karimi, taking Jason Campbell down. It was a night where Aldon Smith could do no wrong. He was running games and stunts with Justin Smith. He was rushing with power, rushing with speed off the edge, getting into the middle of the defense, up in the middle of the field when Campbell would step up into the pocket. I mean, chasing down the quarterback. He did a little bit of everything that night. Aldon Smith was unblockable this evening. Look at the speed and speed to power, the ability to bend and get skinny in between linemen, just bench pressing guys into the lap of the quarterback. Aldon Smith was a one-man wrecking crew that night, and I was very excited to see Colin Kaepernick's first start, but this game here told me and told everyone that Aldon Smith was here. He had arrived. He was just an absolute marvel, a freak of nature, and one of the most talented edge rushers the San Francisco 49ers have ever seen. And at that point, I mean, the sky was the limit for Aldon. Niner fans, look at, and I mean, another one there, just bench pressing into the quarterback, just power. You couldn't block him. You weren't strong enough to block him. You weren't quick enough to stay with him. You weren't long enough to, get him off of you. Aldon Smith was an absolute demon as a pass rusher. And I remember that night so vividly because of the fact that it was Colin Kaepernick's first start. And I just remember, sitting and talking with other Niner fans. How many sacks does he have? Was that 3? Was that 4? Was that 5? Like, that night was unbelievable watching Aldon Smith just wreak havoc in the Chicago Bears backfield. Absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. Esai in the chat says, like I said, Myles Garrett before Myles Garrett. I mean, there's a little bit of Myles Garrett to Aldon Smith's game. Absolutely. I mean, from a physical standpoint, I don't disagree with that at all. And that game, too, it really just, watching those clips, the highlights there, I remember watching he and Justin Smith and how well they worked together in tandem. I mean, Justin Smith taking on blockers so that Aldon Smith could come in clean. They would run stunts where Smith would loop around and Justin would clear guys out so that Aldon could get on the inside and get a clear shot at the quarterback. They worked so well together in unison. And a lot of the talk back then was that, Aldon Smith's only doing it because Justin Smith's doing all the dirty work and taking up all the blockers, which couldn't be further from the truth. Aldon Smith could do whatever he wanted on the football field with or without Justin Smith. But the two of them together was the reason that 49ers defense was so good. And I just loved watching the Smith brothers play. That's what they were known as, Justin Smith and Aldon Smith. Niner fans called them the Smith brothers. I mean, couldn't you see the resemblance, right? I mean, they were clearly brothers. But, man, just talking about it, thinking about it, taking that trip down memory lane, it just kind of takes me back to those days at Candlestick. And I miss watching. I miss watching Alden play, man. Alden was one of my all-time favorites. He really was. And there's been an outpouring of NFL players reacting to the news today with their condolences. Many saying that Alden is one of the best that they had ever seen or been on the field with, including former 49er Eric Armstead, who took to Instagram saying that Aldon Smith was the best player that he ever was on the field with at any time. And of course, Aldon Smith was not a 49er when Eric Armstead was drafted by the 49ers in the 2016 NFL draft. But he faced, he was on the field against him at some points after Aldon left the 49ers. And Eric Armstead said it as much, a guy who played defensive line, just like Aldon, saying, hey, Aldon was the best player I'd ever seen, or was ever on the field with. And it wasn't just fellow defensive players. Many Niner fans will remember a very, I don't want to say viral, but like a popular interview and a particular clip that went around back at the time. They had former 49ers left tackle Joe Staley sit down with current 49ers left tackle Trent Williams, and they talked about, playing for the 49ers and whatnot, but they also got into the conversation about who was the most difficult player that they've ever had to go up against. Who was the most difficult guy to block in their careers? And I'm gonna share the clip with you guys because it just speaks, to the player that Aldon Smith was. Watch this clip for yourselves if you haven't seen it.
Who is the hardest player that you've ever played against?
You know what? When people ask me that, the first name, I think we are. The first name that pops out.
What can we do on the count of three? Okay. 1, 2, 3.
Aldon Smith.
No question. I only had to face him in practice.
Yeah, I know that's.
Face him in the game.
Yeah, that's even worse. I had some sleepless nights because of God, dog. But I always, when people ask me that, he the first face, not even name. I just see him in his uniform, like from like a huddle side of view. I just like look at 5 yards and I can just see the long arms. It's like that's who pops in my mind. But I guess his. Obviously, with the off the field stuff that he had, a lot of people don't. When you say that, they don't understand or they can't relate to it because they relate everything to stats and what they see on TV. But
the recency bias and all that.
When I just say a player, you just tell me who the hardest player I ever had to play against. It was Aldon Smith.
He was by far. Him and Justin made me so much better because I was able to practice against them.
I was about to say, imagine in the game. Oh, it's a recipe for disaster.
That's great.
So there you have it. Two of the greats in 49er history. Two of the best left tackles in NFL history this century telling you that Aldon Smith was the best player they ever went up against. And it speaks to the caliber of player that Aldon Smith was, the talent, the raw ability that he had, the physical gifts that he possessed. To have Joe Staley and Trent Williams both say it at the same time, I mean, it gives me goosebumps just seeing that, hearing that, and thinking about the player that Aldon Smith was. And that clip's been a popular clip since it surfaced some years back. And it's just a shame. It sucks to think about how good he was and how good he could have been. And we all know that Aldon had his troubles off of the field. Substance abuse problems, arrested for DUI multiple times, had multiple stints in jail, including a 6-month stint and a 1-year stint, had some mental health issues. But he continued to fight those demons up until his passing today. He never gave up. He continued to battle his addictions, his problems, and tried to be a better person. And so to hear the news that he passed away today, and no, we still don't know the circumstances. And again, I'm not going to speculate, as easy as it would be to speculate. It's so sad. It's so sad. Like I mentioned earlier, he met with the 49ers rookies this past week to give them words of wisdom as they embark on their NFL journeys. And he'd been a mentor to several other NFL players and spoken to other teams in recent years as well. And he really was trying to, give a helping hand to some of the new guys coming into the NFL, because Aldon Smith had been there and done it. He's done things on the field that every rookie wants to do, and he's done things off the field that every rookie should want to avoid. And so if you could learn from anyone, it would be Aldon Smith. And he was out there trying to make a difference in the lives of incoming NFL players. And it's just, again, we don't know what happened. We can speculate, but it's just sad that it came to this when he's really been trying to turn his life around. And as a matter of fact, there was an interview, his last public interview, to my knowledge, was posted on YouTube this week in 3 separate parts. Aldon Smith appeared on a podcast called the Laced Up Podcast, hosted by T. DeBarber. And it's a 3-part series that dropped on his YouTube channel. And I actually watched that interview yesterday. Like I said, I've been an Aldon Smith fan from the get-go. And so I've always kept up with Aldon. And I saw the video going around of his interview with T. DeBarber on the Laced Up Podcast, and I watched it yesterday. And here we are getting the news about Aldon's passing today. I mean, just absolutely sad. Very sad news. I'm going to put a link in the chat of the interview that he did, so you guys can take a look at that when you have a chance. Aldon Smith's very last public interview, to my knowledge, on the Laced Up Podcast, which was posted this week. And I watched the whole thing, and I will say he did seem a little troubled. That's just my interpretation, my takeaway from watching that interview. There were some things that he just didn't say that you could tell he wanted to say. And just the vibe he gave off, that, he was trying. He was absolutely trying to better himself. But I can't shake the feeling that I got watching that interview. Just listen to it for yourselves, and you'll get a better understanding about what I'm talking about. But just what a sad day. What an absolutely sad day if you are a San Francisco 49ers fan, and what a sad day if you are someone who, roots for people to, better themselves and overcome adversity, triumph over your problems. It's sad, but I just hope that Aldon, now that he has passed away, has found some sort of peace that I feel like he's been looking for a long time. And I just hope that he's at rest now, and all right. So I just wanted to give my thoughts, my takeaways on the news that Aldon Smith has passed away at the age of 36. Let me take some questions, comments from you guys in the live chat. I've seen you guys tearing it up here tonight in the chat section, so I appreciate you. Terradome says, RIP Aldon Smith. Shout out Terradome for chiming in. Rocco says, Bosa wishes he was Aldon Smith. I mean, for as good as Nick Bosa has been, he wasn't as good as Aldon. And I can say that confidently. Aldon Smith was a better pass rusher. Aldon Smith, to me, was the best pass rusher I've ever seen in a 49er uniform. I was too young for the likes of Charles Haley, Fred Dean, those guys. But just out of everyone I've ever seen and watched every single Sunday, Aldon Smith was the best pure pass rusher I've ever seen in a 49er uniform. I mean, it's just not a question in my mind. Esai says he had the greatest sack celebration ever with the run to the sideline and sit down and put the helmet up. He started doing that because he'd gotten flagged, I think, for an excessive celebration at one point, and Jim Harbaugh was not too pleased about it because rookies should be seen and not heard. And when you're drawing a flag as a rookie, it's not a good look. So after that point, Aldon started to do that celebration where he would just run straight to the sideline and sit down. And it was funny. I mean, at the time, it was hilarious, like, because, you know, we knew why it was happening, why he was doing it. Isai also says, that was the best season I think I've ever seen from a defensive tackle until Nick Bosa's defensive player of the year season. I think you meant defensive end, but I know what you mean. And yes, that 2012 season was absolutely legendary. Absolutely legendary. Let's see what else you guys are saying here in the live chat so I don't miss anything. Isai says, rip Aldon Smith. This one hurts. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. William Roberts, I really feel bad about what happened to Aldon. My condolences to his family and friends. Sin says, I was hoping it didn't end this way. You and I both. You and I both. And when I saw Bonte Hill's tweet this afternoon saying that the timeline isn't ready for the news that's about to come down, and then I saw Grant Cohn reply to that, and all he said was, it's tragic. So that told me earlier this afternoon, before we'd even heard the news, that somebody passed away. Once I saw Bonte's tweet and Grant's follow-up saying it was a tragic, bit of news, I knew someone passed away, and I started to think, okay, who was it? And I'm not going to lie to you, Aldon Smith crossed my mind. I'm not joking. I'm not making that up. I thought about it, but I wasn't sure. I didn't know. Nobody knew what the news was going to be, what the news was going to come down this Saturday afternoon. But when it did, I said, man, I hoped it wasn't that. I was hoping it wasn't that, but it was. So to see you say, Sin, that you were hoping it didn't end this way, a lot of Niner fans were hoping it didn't end that way. Niner fans who followed the situation, I think it was always a thought in the back of 49ers fans' head that there was the potential that it could end this way with him passing away too young. And it's a shame for him as someone who's trying to better himself. It's terrible for his family. It's terrible for his loved ones, his friends, everyone. I feel for all of them. I feel for the guys that tried to help him, like Jay Glazer of Fox Sports. I mean, he went on to play for the Raiders and the Dallas Cowboys, so he had friends across the league, not just with the 49ers. He did wrap up his career trying to make the Seahawks roster. He did not make that roster, but he tried. And so Aldon Smith was well-traveled around the NFL. And it's upsetting to see that this is how it ends with Aldon Smith. And I wanted to try and stay positive tonight and talk about the good times and the memories and the good things, but it seems like with Aldon Smith, you always have to talk about the other stuff because that was always intertwined. It was always a part of the Aldon Smith story, the good and the bad. It was just a part of who Aldon Smith was. And it's a tragic situation. It's terrible. And it's just a bummer that we're at where we're at right now. So, all right, Niner fans, I gave my thoughts. I took some of your comments in the chat. I appreciate everyone who tuned in tonight to give their thoughts as we remember the life of a 49ers absolute legend in my eyes, Aldon Smith, who passed away this afternoon in San Jose, California at the very young age of 36 years old. It just tells you, man, like you never know when it's going to be your time. So take advantage of the time that you do have. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up here. Thank you all for tuning in this evening. Aldon Smith, I hope that you rest in peace. And Niner fans, we will be back soon. But just What a day. What a sad day. What a sad day.